Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, guys, you guys have seen a lot of me lately. I've seen a lot of you lately. Maybe we're stepping on each other's toes a little bit. I know the other night I was in a little bit of a mood. I'll wear it. I'll own it. Doesn't really bother me too much. But in today's video, we're going to be re-evaluating the Toronto Maple Leafs' trade deadline because I've slept on it a little bit. Yeah, I'm allowed to do that. I will still maintain that David Rittich has not had a very good season this year, playing in front of Calgary or not. I was harsh in the video the other night. Let's walk it back a little bit. I'm okay in acquiring David Rittich. I'm okay with it. He can step in right away. In fact, I think he's probably going to play against Calgary tomorrow night. I think the third was a little bit too much, but the Maple Leafs are all in. They're trying to win, and if you're trying to win, it's important to have insurance, and that's what he is. Especially if Fred comes back. Come playoff time, he's the third goalie. It's an expensive third goalie, but I'd rather have him than not have him. I think that's fair. Overall, I'm going to give the Toronto Maple Leafs a B+ on this year's trade deadline, and I'll explain why it's not higher than a B+ in a minute. I don't love the Nick Foligno trade, and I don't hate it. That's my initial impression. I think that I will grow to love it the more that I see him play, because I do think that he brings a lot of valuable tools to this team. He's an excellent forechecking forward. The Toronto Maple Leafs are a very strong forechecking team. They added to his strengths, and they also address the weakness because he's a more defensive-minded forward, and they don't really have very many of those. The Riley Nash trade I thought was excellent. He was basically free, and he's one of the better fourth-line centers in the entire league. Between Pierre Engvall and Alexander Kerfoot, they're not really natural centers, so to get a natural center iceman in Riley Nash is big for the Maple Leafs' bottom six, especially a guy who's that good defensively. But going back a couple of weeks, the Toronto Maple Leafs traded Yegor Korshkov, a guy who they more than likely weren't going to be using moving forward, a guy who wanted to change his scenery, a guy who was over in Russia, and they got Alex Galchenyuk for him. That is a massive, massive win for Kyle Dubas and the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's been a huge part of their top six, and I don't know what we'd be doing without him right now, honestly. I mean, still having Austin Matthews, John Tavares, Mitch Marner, and William Nylander, of course, but Alex Galchenyuk has been a big part of the Maple Leafs' top six over the last couple of weeks. And they're more than likely not going to talk contract extensions until after the Seattle expansion draft, because signing anyone to contracts right now would affect who they'd have to protect. But I would imagine after that is passed, the Leafs will be looking to extend Alex Galchenyuk. Now, in regards to what the Toronto Maple Leafs added in terms of defensemen, I think that is what's holding this grade back from being an A- or an A. It's no secret, I've voiced my opinion on how much I wanted a defenseman, and to see guys like Mike Riley and John Merrill, guys who we talked about on this channel for a couple of weeks as solid players who could be a number 5 or a number 6 guy on this team, go for a 3rd and a 5th round pick is kind of disappointing. They got a 7-8 guy in Ben Hutton who seems like he can kill penalties. That pushes Martin Marincin down the depth chart, and we all know how important that is. He sticks up for his teammates. He just seems like a good dude who knows how to have fun. Nothing against Ben Hutton. I just wanted a number 5 or 6 guy to challenge Travis Dermott. But maybe the Toronto Maple Leafs feel that Rasmus Sandin can be a guy who comes in and challenges Travis Dermott and fills a hole if there's an injury in the playoffs. And I don't disagree with that. It's just that Rasmus Sandin has barely played this year, and we haven't seen him beyond a sheltered bottom pair role in the NHL. Maybe it's just as simple as if we think he's as good as he really is, he should be able to handle it. And to Dermott's credit, he's been better over the last week or so. He's been doing things that we've known him to do in the past. He's a little bit more noticeable. But the Toronto Maple Leafs, in order to have any success in this year's playoffs, need to be able to lean on TJ Brodie and Jake Muzzin. And if they can't, if one of those guys go down to injury, they better hope that Travis Dermott or Rasmus Sandin or someone else can step up and fill that hole, or they're going to be in trouble. And I'm not talking about round 1 and round 2. I think they'll be able to handle the Canadian teams just fine. I'm talking about round 3 and 4. But who knows? We're talking about hypotheticals that might not even come true, and oftentimes it's not the best team that wins the Stanley Cup. It's the team who's the healthiest, who also has the best players, that wins the Stanley Cup. And it's not an egregious thing to ask your goalie to bail you out at a time where your defensive core is a little bit banged up. And I don't think it would be unreasonable to ask one of the forwards that make a lot of money to also have an MVP type run in the playoffs. And if Austin Matthews is going to continue the way that he's going, yeah, guys, the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to be a force in the playoffs. The Toronto Maple Leafs were already a good team even before they acquired Alex Galchenyuk. But since then, the price that they've paid to go from where they were before Galchenyuk to where they are right now is going to be negligible when you consider the fact that all they have to do to be 8 wins away from the Stanley Cup is be the best team in Canada. All they have to do to be 4 wins away from the Cup Finals is be the best team in Canada. So the first, the 2 fourths, a 5th, a 3rd, take them. Take them. Because the Toronto Maple Leafs are all in, and so am I. And I think I forgot that a little bit in the last video that I made. And I can't say it without potentially getting the video demonetized, but I can sure show it on screen. And if that doesn't hype you up, well, then you must not love this team as much as the rest of us. Was I open to the idea of adding Taylor Hall? Sure. Did I want Taylor Hall? Not necessarily. I don't think that I ever said that I wanted him or that the Maple Leafs needed him. I had suggested a couple of times that they call up Nick Robertson before acquiring any forward, because if he could be the forward that they're looking for, then there's no reason to go out there and acquire one of those guys. They called him up tonight. He's going to be in the roster tonight. How does the playoff lineup look like? I don't know, man. They got 100 guys who can play forward. It's not a problem. It's a good thing. But if you're not looking at the magical season that Austin Matthews is having, if you're not looking at the Disney movie that is Jack Campbell, if you're not looking at Nick Foligno swearing on the phone to Joe Bowen right after getting traded here, right after waiving his no-move clause to come here, that's how much he wanted to be here. Taylor Hall chose the Boston Bruins. Forget him. Forget him. We got the guys who want to be on our side. Let's go to war. Let's go to war. Come on. Come on. I want the playoffs to start so bad. Like, I could care less about the rest of the regular season games as long as nobody gets hurt. They got 2 guys waiting in the wings in William Nylander and Nick Foligno. Nylander on the COVID protocol list. Foligno in quarantine before he's allowed to play. They got 3 guys in Robertson, Simmons, and Thornton who have a spot right now. They have another guy in Riley Nash who's going to come back in the playoffs. I don't know what this lineup looks like, but whoever's hot is in, and whoever's not is out. Simple as that. So as always, make sure to like the video if you did like it, and subscribe for more, because more is always on the way. And guys, remember, the first place Toronto Maple Leafs just got a hell of a lot better.